I'll second that. Thanks to everybody for being here. Hope everybody's having a great week so far. Before I get started, just wanted to bring more awareness to our Carolina Committed fundraising campaign, the most aggressive fundraising campaign in athletic department history, trying to generate $35 million through donations by the end of 2023. We're focusing the resources on this campaign directly on enhancing the student athlete and fan experiences here at Carolina. We've had great initial success in this campaign. It's allowed the department to move forward on phase one of renovations to Williams-Brice Stadium, which we certainly appreciate, and will make a fantastic home field environment even better. This includes LED stadium lights, ribbon boards throughout the stadium, and West Side Concourse expansion. So we are never going to stand pat here. We're always moving forward and always trying to get better. That'll be fantastic for our amazing fans that come to Williams-Brice Stadium, and for our players and recruits, and on and on and on. So there's so much greatness about that, and really excited to be part of that. Congratulations to Kai Kroger, the SEC Special Teams Player of the Week, as well as the Ray Guy National Punter of the Week. Correct, Steve? Correct. Come on, Mike. Ray Guy National Punter of the Week. So congratulations to Kai on that as well. We started 2 minutes early, Mike, but G8 for George O'Leary, and if you were 10 minutes early, you were late. So learned that lesson early. But no, congrats to Kai on that. Obviously, he is a great player for us, a weapon. He can throw the ball. You saw that at Tennessee, and he's a fantastic punter and holder as well. So having a great season, and congrats to him. Also excited for the opportunity this week. Obviously, it'll be a really big challenge for us, playing a Texas A&M team that's extremely well coached. Got a ton of respect for Jimbo Fisher, one of the great coaches in all of college football, and a team that they are clearly clicking on all three phases right now, to beat Alabama at home, and then to come back and finish it, or to cap that off with a dominating performance last week. Really talented team, well coached, like I said, number 2 scoring defense in the SEC right now. 3 of the top 4, I think, in SEC all-purpose yardage are their 2 running backs. 3 of the top 16 players in the SEC in sacks are on A&M's team. They can play dominant defense. Hardly anybody's scoring on them. They're explosive on special teams. The returners on the kick return game, obviously they returned a kick for a touchdown against Alabama. Their punt return game is explosive. Whenever those guys touch the ball, that'll be a big challenge for our cover units this week. And then the way they're running the football, they ran the ball for close to 300 yards against Missouri. The 2 backs are dynamic. Really talented, just so impressed watching their video. They're just so patient running the football. They're dominant up front on the offensive line, big, physical. There's a lot of those guys on that offensive line and on that football team from that part of the country that we recruited heavily when I was at Oklahoma, so I know what kind of talented players they are. But the backs are very patient, got great vision, do a great job of letting holes develop, and if you get out of a gap against these guys, it's a 30-yard explosive run. So we've got to be extremely disciplined on defense and gap sound and do a great job from that standpoint. We've got to do a great job on special teams, like I said, and then offensively, our offense. I mean, they're really talented up front. They're as impressive a defensive line group out there as there is, and experienced secondary with size, and will be a great environment to play in on Saturday night. So a big challenge for us, but our guys are excited to go compete as well. It'll be a great environment out there on Saturday night. And again, want to thank our great fans for the environment on Saturday. It made a difference as the game went on and brought great energy to our sideline and affected Vanderbilt, late in the game as well. So we appreciate it, and we feed off your energy, and we're always grateful for that as well. Some updates from a injury standpoint. We are a beat-up football team right now in a lot of ways. Just a handful. I mean, nobody that's too major. I'll get to that here in a second. Just a bunch of bumps and bruises right now. I would say Jalen Dickerson and Dylan Wanham are the most iffy this week of guys that have a chance to play. Sherrod Green is progressing nicely from his injury. Proud of him and the way that he's attacked the rehab. Jalen and Dylan are iffy for Saturday, and then just really bumps and bruises and guys beat up at every single position from top to bottom. So I think everybody, you could go through every position and say somebody is probable, questionable, whatever you want to call it, for Saturday night. So we've got to get well in a hurry because we are beat up. But everybody in the SEC is right now. We've played 8 straight weeks, and so is Texas A&M. So has Texas A&M. So we've got to get better from that standpoint. Update on Luke. He, like I said the other night, he re-injured his foot. So we've met with some specialists here over the last couple of days. He will be done for the year. He's going to have surgery this week. It's the best thing for him, short term and long term, is to get this thing healed up and get him back. From talking to a lot of people in this program, I've been told before the Vanderbilt game that he is probably one and two, no disrespect to any other player, but one of the toughest players to ever play here at Carolina, along with Connor Shaw. And he showed that Saturday night. Appreciate his toughness and hate it for him. Hate it for our football team, but he's in great spirits. Just talked to him before I came in here. He was out at practice today, but he's going to have surgery later this week, get everything cleaned up and fixed, where he will be better long term and able to come back. Like I said, that'll shut him down for the rest of the season. And Zeb is our starting quarterback. Jason Brown, Colton, and Connor Jordan are our other quarterbacks, and excited about the way those guys have continued to progress and get better throughout the season. So with that, any questions?
Shane, a couple with the backups. Is Jason the clear number 2? Is that still to be determined?
Jason's the number 2 right now. Yeah, but Colton, I'm proud of Colton, man. He is getting better quickly. Really been impressed with him. He's our scout team quarterback going up against the defense. He's a competitor. I mean, him and some of those guys over there going against our defense. I mean, they try and destroy our defense every day over there. And Colton's showing great leadership over there and really taking advantage of his reps mentally and physically. So Colton's getting better, but Jason's number 2 right now.
And Juju and Jalen, what's the update on them?
Jalen Dickerson. Oh, I'm sorry, Jalen Brooks. Got too many Jalen's. Jalen Dickerson, Jalen Foster, Jalen Brooks, and Jalen Nichols. Sorry about that. Still day-to-day. Juju's back, and Jalen Brooks is still day-to-day.
Shane, are there any plans to bring DeCarrion back into the quarterback room or anybody else?
No.
On that regard? You're going to stick with what you got?
Yep. Feel good about what we got. Obviously, Zeb is 2-0 as a starter, and in his last game that he had started, had gone right down the field on Georgia, and we're in the red zone when he got hurt, and then he came in and won the game the other day with that drive. So confident in Zeb, and like I said, confident in Colton and Jason and Connor. We've used DK at quarterback in multiple games this year. DK can throw, but no, DK is a receiver that, certainly you always have like break glass and in case of emergency type thing. So he continues to, do stuff in practice during the week, but no, we haven't even discussed that.
Shane, with Luke, how is he?
But we can always line him up at quarterback and do the stuff that we've done with him as well. So I'm not saying he's not going to be a quarterback. I'm not going to say you're not going to see him lined up at quarterback Saturday night. But as far as meeting with the quarterbacks and things like that, he's not doing any of that. He can do it all. So all of our guys, with our depth, everybody's got to be multifaceted on this team.
Shane, with Luke, how has he handled this
Great
situation, and kind of how, from a timeline standpoint, do you anticipate him back for spring, or is this something that might keep him out a while?
Yeah, I think so. Kind of trying to get all that figured out right now. First of all, he's in great spirits. After I talked to you guys Saturday night after the game in the press conference, I went from Matt. Clint Haggard met me in the hall and told me that Luke had re-injured his foot. We weren't quite sure how serious it was. at that point. So I went into the training room. He was in there with his mom and dad, and had a chance to visit with him, and felt bad for him because I knew he had re-injured it. Didn't know how severe or long term it would be, but you knew it was going to probably certainly affect his chances of playing against Texas A&M, and he's in there picking me up. I was disappointed for him, and he was in great spirits, all part of God's plan, and bumping the road, and I'll be great for it. And his dad, who's awesome, just kept telling me great win, and just what a fantastic family. He was at practice Sunday night. He was in the offensive meeting this morning asking questions, as we installed the base game plan for first and second down this morning. He's in the meeting and he's engaged like he's the starting quarterback this week, which I appreciate. And then he was out at practice today. So he's in great spirits. I don't think it's anything that's going to affect him long term. Should be good to go, go through a rehab process, and we'll see how the surgery goes for more of a long-term thing, but don't anticipate it at this point being anything that's going to affect him really long-term.
Hey, Shane, I know with Luke, he came back a little sooner than you guys would have liked because of Zeb's injury at Georgia. Is this a situation where if Zeb had stayed healthy and you could have kept Luke out a couple more weeks, you would have done that, or did he come back about the same time you guys wanted him to?
No. You said that we put him in there before he was ready, or that before we wanted him to. I mean, obviously we would have hoped that Zeb would have been able to finish the Georgia game, but if Luke hadn't been cleared by doctors and we didn't feel like Luke was healthy, I mean, he wouldn't have been in uniform at Georgia. He was cleared, he was good to go, he felt good. And I know what you're saying. Obviously, we wanted Zeb to finish the game, but if Luke wasn't healthy enough to play, we weren't going to put him in there against Georgia. So, it's one of those things that ideally, I mean, we beat Georgia and Zeb plays his rear end off, and you don't make a quarterback change, or you keep playing Zeb if he's playing great. He got hurt against Georgia. Luke was cleared by our medical doctors that he was okay to play. Luke felt okay playing and went in there and played his butt off against Georgia. So, both those guys, it's been two unfortunate injuries to our top two quarterbacks this year, but they've both handled it well, and we're back to Zeb.
Shane, I know people probably like to use the word blame, so that's not the word I'm trying to use here, so I apologize if it seems like that. But when you look at the offense and you're trying to just figure out what is it? What is it from holding back this offense in terms of making that progress that you guys want to see? And is it is it not just from a coaching standpoint? Is it coaching, playing? Is it everything? And what have you been able to look at watching the film the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, we've certainly got to be better, and we're 7 weeks in, so it's no more of, it's growing pains and things like that. I mean, we've got to have some continuity at quarterback. We've got to have continuity at the receiver position, running back position, staying healthy, and I know everybody wants me to sit up here and just say the play calling stinks, and that's the issue, but, the play calling on Saturday didn't cause us to fumble or turn the ball over 4 times. That play calling got us some explosive plays down into the red zone that we then fumbled. We threw 2 interceptions. The play call didn't force us to have holding penalties, and things like that. So we all have a hand in it, and that's not me blaming players. We've got to coach better. We've got to not put our players in position. But I think on Saturday, and every game, Mike, is different. You can look at blame and why we haven't operated at a high level, and it's all of us, myself, down the offensive staff, down to the offensive players, and every game is different. But I'll look back at Saturday. I don't think there was a play calling issue. Now, it may not always look pretty, and I'm sure I don't know what the message boards are saying right now, but I'm sure they're like nuclear right now about bad play calls. Well, I don't know what play calls were necessarily bad. Help me out. Which ones were bad on Saturday? We've got to be better fundamentally and technique-wise to not put ourselves in those positions. And, Marshawn fumbled the football. Well, at the offensive tackle position, we crossed over and had not great footwork and got beat inside, and Marshawn had to cut it back, and then a fumble happens. Poor ball security on a couple of fumbles. gave a big play to Jaheim, that came back because of a holding penalty because we set a little too far on a pass set and got beat inside. I mean, just fundamental things that we can clean up, which goes back to us as coaches. But, I mean, that's been kind of the point of emphasis with our players this week is we've got to be better. Forget about schemes. We got to be better fundamentally, which is coaching. And that's what we're trying to do. But we got to be better everywhere, offense, defense, and special teams. We missed tackles Saturday. I don't think that was necessarily bad play calls by Clayton White. That was we got to coach up these guys better from a technique and fundamental standpoint to not miss tackles and give up explosive passes. And I don't mean that. I don't need fans now hitting me up on Twitter giving me a list of all the bad play calls either from Saturday. Like, that was a figure of speech. So, please, I try not to look at the mentions, but as soon as I said that, I can see it coming right now. But you know what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm about to hit the mute button, but I get it. So, it's kind of like when a former coach said something about if you got violations in our program, send them into our compliance office, and what that turned into. So, I don't mean it. I get it. Not every play call was great, but I think you can look at it's a whole picture view as well.
Shane, was there one particular play on Saturday where Luke re-injured that foot, or was it a culmination of wear and tear over the past few games?
That's a good question, and I should know the answer to that. I know he didn't really tell a lot of people. He mentioned it to somebody, or after the fact, I'm sorry. I think he told Clint Haggard, our trainer, that in the second quarter he felt like he had aggravated it somehow. And I don't know if it was necessarily a certain play or or just kind of wear and tear. But second quarter, he told us the next day that it started bothering him. He's a tough kid. I think initially he maybe just felt it was, just soreness and whatnot. He mentioned it to the coaching staff. I think he mentioned it to Zeb late in the game. I think before the series before Zeb came in, he maybe mentioned it. It was late in the game that he mentioned his foot was bothering him. So I don't know if it was a certain play, but I do know is from what he's told us, the second quarter is when he started feeling a little bit different. But again, every game you're going to have soreness and injuries and things like that. It's can you go or not go, and he felt like he could still operate at a high level.
Shane, as far as Kevin, I guess getting back, and I know he's been banged up a little bit here and there, but I mean, do you guys feel comfortable giving him, and then 15, 20, 25 carries going forward? How do you kind of balance that with him getting healthy, being banged up a little bit? And I guess what's kind of the process with that?
Yeah, I think with him, with all those backs, playing running back in the SEC is a physical position, and certainly you want to take care of all those backs and not have a whole lot of wear and tear on them. But yes, Ben, we feel totally confident if Kevin Harris has got to carry the ball 30 times, doing it as well, when healthy. But that was a physical game, and there were times on Saturday night where Kevin was out physically or out for an injury at a certain point in the game. Barshawn was out with an injury at a certain point in the game. Zaquandre, he took some shots the other night, and he's got a little, he's a little beat up right now. So I think you got to continue to monitor the health of those guys, but we feel confident when healthy that all those guys can carry the load. Nobody's really on a pitch count, so to speak.
Shayna, with Zeb kind of being the guy now, too, there's been a lot of things on social and all the Colonel Zeb account. Do you know about that? Do you follow the guy or any of that stuff?
No, my wife and kids keep me up to date on it as well. I'm aware of it. I guess I need to follow it. I don't right now. I need to. It is entertaining, to say the least. I did see the picture of, I think it was he and I hugging, and maybe it was Zebuliah's mother, I think was that one. I did see that one, which was pretty good as well. So I find it fascinating. I love it. My wife loves it. My kids enjoy seeing it, but it's good. It is a pretty cool story, and like I told Andrea Carter after the game from SEC Network on the post-game interview, Sat sit it on the headphones during the game that, his whole thing's going to be a movie, and the final drive to win the Vandy game is going to be a huge part of the movie as well when Disney or whoever does it, Disney, Lifetime, I don't know who's doing this movie, does it. So that was a great chapter, a great part of it. But it is a great Twitter follow.
You've mentioned a few times throughout the year that Kai Kroger has made some great holds. It looked like the snap may not have been great the other night. Have there been some problems with the mechanics on some of the snaps on the field goals, and how do you address those things?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, obviously we had, I think it was East Carolina, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was a little bit of a high snap that Kai did a great job getting down. The one field goal that Parker missed the other night was a little bit of just the operation, and Matt's been great as our snapper. I have no worries with Matt. That one, the timing was a little bit off. It wasn't quite, whatever you want to call it, the velocity that you want it to be. And I think threw the timing off a little bit, and then we had a little bit of a low punt snap, and I think that was more just. If I'm not mistaken, we were trying to let some time run off the clock, or we got out there, we were checking some stuff the other day. Make a long story short, Matt was over the ball a little bit too long, and as a snapper, that's hard if you're just standing over the ball for a long time. So he's got to be smarter about when he gets on the ball and how long we want him to hold on to the ball before we snap. So no worries. I mean, I was watching it closely in practice today, and he did a great job snapping. We got no worries about that. But a couple of them have been a little bit off, that field goal in particular. But Kai got it down like he has been all year as well.
Coach, I know there's been so much chatter about the QBs and everything, but after the game-winning drive, there was a great moment where Luke was the first one to be there for Zeb and had a huge smile on his face. They're both so complimentary and supportive of each other in the press room, on social media. How huge is that support when there is so much outside chatter about what's going on?
Yeah, no, it's great. And I think it's just a testament of what's going on in this building. I know the normal fan sees Saturday and may not like the way that it looked because we didn't win by more points and we had turnovers and we had penalties and it wasn't always pretty. I see that we overcame all that and found a way to win an SEC football game and never panicked. I see what's going on in this building with the leadership and the way this team comes together and how close they are day in, day out, and just some of the things that's never made public that just happens on an individual or position basis or team basis day in, day out. That's pretty special that only reaffirms everything that we're doing here right now. And that, like you said, was a fantastic moment because I've seen other examples of that weren't like that across college football, NFL football, whatever you want to talk about. But it goes back to the team and supporting one another. We talk about love your brother and above all else and all that stuff. And those aren't just words on a wall. That's what this program's about. And it was great to see Zeb be so great towards Luke, the last few weeks and during the games and practices and how they help each other. And it was great to see Luke be that way with Zeb. And they're the same way right now. And that's at every position. And don't get me wrong, we got competitors at every position, and I'm sure, every receiver wants to be catching 10 balls a game, and every running back wants to be carrying the ball 20 times a game, and I'm not saying that everything's perfect, but it's a great group of guys that believe in each other and support each other.
Shane, you mentioned the Colonel Zebulai Twitter account. Do you have any opinions on Zeb's mustache?
I'm not a fan.
Not a fan?
I'm not, no. Whatever helps him play well, and whatever he feels good about, I'll go with. And I've been around a lot of players that they get the mustaches going. In Oklahoma, we had some guys that did it, and that was their thing there for a while. So I've seen some bad mustaches. I'm not saying Zeb's the worst, but whatever allows him to play well, I'm not going to tell him he's got to shave it. But I think it's all part of the image, for sure.
And I guess how would you evaluate the secondary's performance against Vanderbilt? And what needs to be better or change going into this Texas A&M game?
I thought they played really well. Cam Smith played his rear end off. He played awesome. Foster was good. RJ was good. They played well, and that's with Jalen Dickerson getting hurt and Jamar Brown not playing. So, they were down. They were down some guys from a depth standpoint. Overall, I felt like they played really good, really well, but the problem was they had, 4 critical mistakes that were magnified, which is what happens when you play that position. We had two busted coverages where we're in 3 deep zone coverage and just, come out of our zone. And next thing you know, they're throwing a ball for a big play over our heads. And then we had a couple critical missed tackles that turned into explosive plays. The catch on the sideline that should have been a 8-yard gain turns into a 50-yard touchdown catch or whatever. So we've got to be better. Again, that goes back to the fundamentals and technique and emphasizing it better and coaching it better to get those guys on the ground, because we've done a pretty good job of tackling. But when you miss a tackle in the secondary or you bust a coverage in the secondary, it's magnified in football. And linebackers, D-line, you can do that, and there's people behind you to clean it up. When it happens in the secondary, there's nobody behind you, and it gets magnified. But overall, I thought they played really, really well and did a nice job. I mean, we handed them 17 points off of 4 turnovers, and then we didn't help ourselves defensively with some missed tackles.
Change this real quickly. I don't think we've heard about Randricus Davis in a couple of weeks. He's still away from the program right now.
Yes.
What's his status?
He's still away from the program.
And then just quickly, I guess Luke's played 5 games now. Is there any way that you guys can petition to get a redshirt year for him? How does that work?
Yeah, we'll look into it. It's something that we haven't even talked about, really. I mean, it's all just happened so fast. We got injured Saturday night. Wanted to kind of talk to some doctors on Sunday, Monday. Found out yesterday we were going to do the surgery later this week, and then really haven't even gotten into all that other stuff.
I'm sorry if you addressed this and I missed it, but with the quarterback situation this week, do you look to try to get Jason Brown some snaps, or is it Zeb's game the whole way as long as he's playing well?
Jason some snaps in the game? No, probably. I mean, certainly there's a thought process to getting him in there and getting some experience, but no, I mean, our mindset right now is Zeb being in there, and it's his game and whatnot as well. But Jason gets plenty of work during the week. He got some work today with the first group, the first offense, against the first defense in practice and getting guys ready. In the game, it'll be Zeb's show. But Jason's a guy that Zeb and Jason are both, big guys, and Jason's lost a lot of weight and runs well also. So I mean, I'm not saying you would never see him in there, maybe in certain packages and things like that, because he can run the ball halfway decent. But no, right now the plan would be it's Zeb's show. But if Jason had to come in there, we got full confidence in him. He's a gamer and he's performed well when he's been on that stage.
Shin, we've been joking a lot about the Zeb Noland movie and his story this season. I'm just curious, do you have any preference on which actor would play you in the movie?
No, I don't. I'm sure there's a lot of names I could throw out, but I'd probably make myself look bad if I said it, or egotistical if, ideally you'd say somebody like Tom Cruise or somebody like that, but then you make yourself look like an idiot if you're trying to compare yourself to Tom Cruise. So no, I don't. I'll let you guys figure that one out. All right. Thank y'all so much. See you in Texas. Have a good week.